Have you ever stood beneath a tree that's been alive longer than any memory you hold? Its roots reaching deep into Earth's silent wisdom, its branches swaying not in haste, but in rhythm. Every leaf seems to whisper something ancient, something patient, and when you listen, really listen, you realize nature does not rush, and yet nothing is ever left undone. In the modern world, we measure progress in speed, how fast we reply, how quickly we move up, how early we wake, how many things we finish before noon. But nature has never needed a stopwatch. The bamboo sleeps in silence for years, and then without warning, it rises meters in weeks. Was it unproductive before, or simply preparing? We forget that stillness is not stagnation, that slowness is not failure, that not all growth can be measured by motion. The plum blossom opens before winter ends, not to prove anything, but because that is its nature. The mountain is not trying to be taller than the hill. The ocean doesn't strive to be deeper than the river, and yet they are exactly what they are, whole, grounded, at peace. You, too, are allowed to grow like that. Not all at once, not in straight lines, not for applause, but like rain soaking slowly into the soil of your life, like the moon showing up even in pieces and still being whole. There is a Zen koan, sitting quietly, doing nothing. Spring comes, and the grass grows by itself. It sounds simple, but it is profound, because in this world of endless doing, remembering how to simply be is the rarest kind of wisdom. Some trees drop their leaves early, others hold on a little longer, but none of them question their timing. None of them rush, because another is already blooming. Can you imagine what it would be like to trust your pace, to rest without guilt, to work without fear, to grow without forcing? The lotus rises from the mud, not in anger, not in panic, but in quiet defiance of the darkness that once held it. You don't hear it scream. You don't see it push. It just emerges with grace. You don't need to race to catch up. You need to return to your rhythm. There is a firefly that only glows after sundown, a cicada that sings once every 17 years, a stone on a mountain trail that has been stepped over for centuries, yet has not moved an inch and still remains. Your timeline does not need to match anyone else's, because what is meant to unfold through you does not live in the clock. It lives in the breath. It lives in the silence. It lives in the sacred pauses between one becoming and the next. And yes, you will be tempted to rush. The world will try to convince you that urgency is power. That busy means valuable, but that is the voice of noise, and noise cannot nourish. Look at the farmer. He cannot pull the rice from the earth to make it grow faster. If he does, he destroys it. He tends, he waters, he waits. The harvest, like healing, comes when it comes. You are not late. You are not behind. You are becoming, and that is holy. The river does not regret the bend. The stone does not resist the wind. They allow, they adapt, they become without control. So breathe. Let the rush fall away. Let your growth be gentle. Let it be like nature, deliberate, unhurried, real, because everything that matters takes time, because nothing truly alive moves without soul, and because you just like the forest, just like the stars are enough. Even now, especially now, have you ever noticed the moment between your breaths, that silent space after the inhale, before the exhale, the place where nothing happens, and yet everything lives? It is not loud, it does not announce itself, but it is there, a still lake beneath the wind, a space too often overlooked, in a life too often rushed. We spend our days moving from one thing to the next, from waking to working, from scrolling to sleeping, constantly reaching, endlessly responding. And yet, we do not pause. We do not listen, not to the world, not to others, not even to ourselves. But the space between breaths, it waits. It is the gate to awareness, the place where time loosens its grip and being returns. The Buddha once said, to understand everything, is to forgive everything and to understand. We must first be still, because clarity does not scream, it whispers. It arrives only in the quiet, and quiet cannot exist without the pause. So much of our suffering comes not from pain itself, but from our refusal to stop running from it. We resist, we fight, we distract, we fill every gap with noise, as if silence will betray us. But silence does not destroy, it reveals. And what it reveals is truth. A Zen master asked a student, "Where are you going?" The student replied, "I'm hurrying to study the way." The master said, "The way is not in that direction. We often think peace is a destination, a mountaintop we must climb, a goal we must achieve. But peace is not something we reach by striving. It is something we remember by stopping. There is a bamboo forest that only grows when the rain slows, not during the storm, not during the wind, only when the droplets soften. That is when growth occurs, not in force, but in surrender. And you are no different. You cannot grow while clinging. You cannot heal while rushing. You cannot listen while speaking over the stillness inside you. But in the pause, in the space between this breath and the next, there is wisdoms. There is alignment. There is the echo of who you truly are. Beneath the roles, the fears, the trying, let yourself soften into that space. Let yourself sit without needing to be anywhere else. Let your thoughts float like leaves in water, not to be chased, not to be captured, just watched as they drift. Awareness is not control. It is witnessing, and what you witness, you free. We are taught to chase, to accomplish, to accelerate. But who taught you to just be? No flower opens by force. No wave breaks because it tries. The plum blossoms bloom, not because of effort, but because it is time. Your life, too, has its seasons. But if you never pause, you will miss them. You will miss the scent of morning tea, the warmth of sunlight on wood, the rhythm of your own breath. And these, not the achievements, not the applause, are what make a life real. A monk once said, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." The difference is not in the action, but in the presence brought to it. To wash a dish slowly, feeling the water, the texture, the motion is no less sacred than any ceremony. To fold your clothes with care, to walk without aim, to breathe with full attention. These are not tasks, they are temples, because peace is not what you find when everything is done. It's what you bring to everything you do. And in that pause, the ordinary becomes holy. But do not expect the world to understand. It will pull at you, urge you to speed up, to compare, to produce, to define your worth by your output. But your worth has never lived in what you do. It lives in your awareness of what you are. A candle does not need to shout to give light. Neither do you. You do not need to explain your stillness. You do not need to justify your slowness. The tree does not ask permission to root deeper. The mountain does not apologize for its silence. Neither should you. The space between breaths is where you meet yourself, without the armor, without the noise, just you, pure, present. You may feel resistance when you first pause. The mind will stir, thoughts will rise. That is not failure. That is the beginning. The snow globe must be shaken for the flakes to settle. Stay long enough for the dust to clear. Stay long enough to see what is under all the motion. There is a well in you, a deep, still source untouched by the storms of the world. But you cannot drink from it if you never stop moving. So stop, even just for a breath. Let the inhale arrive without grasping. Let the exhale leave without resistance, and sit in the space between. It is there you will remember you are not your pace. You are not your urgency. You are not your calendar, your inbox, your performance. You are the awareness, watching it all. And that awareness quiet, steady, spacious is your power in a forest When the wind dies, the birds begin to sing again. And when your mind quiets, your soul will speak. You will remember the joy of nothing extra, the fullness of less, the freedom of just this, not more. Just this, the space between breaths, is not empty. It is full of life, of peace, of the wisdom that comes only when you stop trying to earn what is already yours. Let yourself live there, even if only for a moment, because one true moment of stillness can feed 1,000 restless days. And the breath, this breath is always inviting you back. You don't need to go anywhere. You are already home. Have you ever watched a leaf fall? Not the kind that drops in a rush, carried by the wind, but the one that hesitates, floats, spins, as if aware of its departure. It doesn't resist. It doesn't force. It simply dances down through the silence. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. In a world that races, where speed is mistaken for success and urgency is called ambition, we forget the strength of stillness. We fear being left behind, not realizing we've already lost ourselves in the chase. But awakening, it never arrives screaming. It knocks softly. It waits in the background of ordinary things: a breath, a cup of tea, a walk without destination. There is a Zen saying, sitting quietly, doing nothing. Spring comes, and the grass grows by itself. No one commands the grass to rise. No one yells at the wind to blow. Nature unfolds because it trusts the rhythm of life. It has no agenda, only presence. And you've forgotten that rhythm. You rush from task to task, checking boxes on invisible scorecards. You climb ladders built on noise and call it purpose. But the climb has become your cage. The summit keeps shifting, and the moment this quiet, beautiful moment slips through your fingers like sand. Slow is not weak. It is what wakes you up. When you move slowly, you begin to see, not just look, but truly see. The way sunlight spills onto your table, the sound of your own footsteps, the flicker of emotion in someone's eyes. Slowness invites attention, and attention is the birthplace of presence. We live half asleep because we move too fast to notice we're dreaming. But what happens when you pause? When you eat without a screen, walk without a phone, breathe without distraction, you start to feel the texture of your own life. You realize that peace was never somewhere else. It was simply too quiet to be heard above the noise. Lao Tzu wrote, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. The bamboo doesn't compete, the river doesn't strive, yet both reach where they're meant to go. So why do you run? What are you chasing that can't be found within the stillness of a single breath? Buddha taught that suffering begins in craving, and craving is always forward. It pulls you out of now into the illusion of later. The more you want, the faster you run. But the more you run, the further you are from yourself. There's no finish line to enough. What if, instead of rushing toward the next version of your life, you honored this one? What if every sip of tea, every word spoken with intention, every moment spent in silence was not a detour, but the path? A monk once asked his master, what is the way? The master replied, ordinary mind is the way. Then should I seek it? Asked the monk. If you try for it, you will become separated from it, said the master. To go slow is to stop grasping. It is to walk without reaching, to be without needing to become. And yes, the world may not understand. You will look different when you slow down. People will ask why you're not doing more, why you aren't further ahead. But they do not see that your steps, though fewer, land deeper, that your pace, though gentler, is awake. You are not late. You are just not rushing into illusions anymore. Slowness doesn't mean standing still. It means moving with awareness. Look at the mountain. Does it apologize for taking millennia to rise? Look at the moon. Does it try to glow faster? Every sacred thing takes time, and you are no exception. Some days, healing looks like resting. Some days, growth sounds like silence. Some days, the bravest thing you can do is to breathe slowly and say, this moment is enough. Because in slowness, truth finds you, not the loud truth of declarations and goals, but the subtle, steady truth that lives inside your bones. The truth that says, you are not here to perform. You are not here to compete. You are not here to conquer. You are here to experience, to open your hands and release what you cannot control, to close your eyes and trust the rhythm underneath all things, to bow not in surrender, but in reverence. The world doesn't need you louder. It needs you clearer. And clarity comes not from speeding up, but from slowing down. There is a river in you. When you stop thrashing, it flows. When you stop shouting, it speaks. When you stop rushing, it reveals the reflection you forgot was yours. So go slowly, not because you are behind, but because you are awake, not because you fear the pace of the world, but because you trust the wisdom of the present. Let each step be a prayer. Let each breath be a return. You are not falling behind. You are arriving, and the arrival is not somewhere far. It is here. It is always here, just like the leaf that falls not in haste, not in fear, but in grace. You are allowed to move like that. You are allowed to be soft. You are allowed to grow in silence without needing to prove it. Because slow is not weak, it is awake. Have you ever watched a farmer in early spring? Before the rains come, before the harvest arrives, there is only the earth, quiet and expectant. The farmer does not rush. He does not scream at the soil to bloom. He bends gently, plants each seed with care, and then he waits. Effort is not the enemy of peace, but effort made without presence becomes pressure, and pressure, unexamined, becomes suffering. You were not born to be a machine. You were not meant to produce endlessly without pause, without breath, without meaning. Yet the world moves quickly, tells you to move faster, to chase efficiency as if it were purpose, to prove your worth through your output. But worth does not live in what you produce. It lives in how you live. And living is not the same as performing. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that rest is weakness, that slowing down is failure, that to pause is to fall behind. But behind what? Behind whom? The sun does not compare itself to the moon. The plum tree does not resent the pine. Each unfolds in its own time. True productivity, the kind that nourishes rather than depletes, begins not with the schedule, but with the self. Before you act, breathe. Before you speak, feel. Before you chase, ask, is this aligned or is this expected? The Buddha taught that right effort is part of the Eightfold Path, not just any effort, but effort born from clarity and compassion, effort that does not burn you out, but brings you closer to yourself. It is not frantic. It is not forceful. It is steady, like the tide. It flows from intention, not insecurity. So how do you know when your effort is mindful? Look at how it feels in the body. Effort rooted in pressure is tight. It contracts the chest, clenches the jaw, quickens the breath. It feels like urgency, even when there is no real emergency. But mindful effort feels like a current. It moves you, but does not drown you. It engages your heart. It invites your full attention. You are not dragged by it. You ride it like a leaf rides a stream. A Zen master once said, when walking, walk. When eating, eat. This is not simplicity for the sake of tradition. It is a sacred reminder. The mind that multitasks is rarely at peace. When you work, let that be your whole self. No part of you left behind in yesterday's regret or rushing toward tomorrow's unknown. Just this one task, one breath, one moment, done completely. This is not slowness. This is depth. And depth is what makes any act meaningful. Whether you are writing an email or cleaning a floor, planting a tree or guiding a team, presence transforms the mundane into the sacred. But what about deadlines? What about goals? What about the world that does not wait? Yes, the world moves fast, but you do not have to match its panic to walk with purpose. You can move efficiently without being frantic. You can aim for excellence without being at war with yourself. The lotus does not bloom by screaming. It rises because it is rooted. Let your actions come from grounding, not grasping. Let your ambition be kind. Let your striving be soft. There is a story of a monk who spent hours each morning sweeping the monastery grounds. A traveler asked him why, when the wind would only scatter the leaves again. The monk smiled and said, I am not sweeping to make it clean. I am sweeping to remember I am here. That is the essence of mindful effort, not to conquer the world, but to come home to it. The work you do, the real work, is not just what gets completed, it is how you are while doing it. Your presence, your breath, the way your thoughts settle as your hands move, that is the hidden fruit, and it cannot be measured in checklists. Mindfulness is not a luxury. It is not a retreat from responsibility. It is the foundation of all meaningful action. Without it, your energy becomes scattered. You say yes to things that drain you. You fill your calendar, but starve your soul. You meet expectations, but lose yourself in the meeting. But with mindfulness, even the busiest day can become a meditation. Even the hardest task can become a practice, because mindfulness doesn't remove the work. It transforms the worker. And when you are transformed, you no longer ask, how much can I do? You begin to ask, how deeply can I be with what I do? That shift changes everything. You begin to say no to what pulls you away from alignment, not out of fear, but out of reverence for your peace. You begin to approach your mornings, not with dread, but with quiet curiosity. What wants to move through me today? You begin to trust that you are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be, because you are awake in it. There will still be pressure. Yes, there will still be days when the mind races, when the tasks pile up, when the world demands more than you feel you have to give. But in those moments, remember, you are not the task. You are not the pressure. You are the one breathing beneath it. So return to that breath. Return to the simple, sacred rhythm of inhale and exhale. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your hands where they are. And ask, can I meet this moment as it is, without making it harder than it needs to be? Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not to push through, but to soften, to say, I will give what I can from the part of me that is whole, and that is more than enough. Because when your effort comes from presence, it creates more than results. It creates peace, and peace is what the world truly needs from you. Not perfection, not performance, but a presence so grounded, so steady, so awake, that others feel safe to slow down too. That is the art of mindful effort. That is productivity without pressure. And it begins with a breath.